Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzo show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzo show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzo show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzo show. Yeah.
Hey everyone, before we begin this week's episode of the Matthew and Rizzle Show, just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Proof of Beauty. Proof of Beauty is an experimental digital experience studio. The blockchain is their canvas and the tokens are their brush. You can learn more about Proof of Beauty by checking out pob.studio. You can follow them on Twitter as well at PRRF That's PRRF Beauty on Twitter and pob.studio on their homepage to learn more about their projects like Hash, London, and Publico. Thank you and enjoy the show. Okay, Jason, welcome to the Matthew and Rizzle Show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. This is exciting.
Yeah, really excited on our end to get into everything that you're doing with Bitlectro. But to get started, I think it'd be great for our audience if you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background, how you came into crypto and the NFT space and all that good stuff before we dive into Bitlectro.
Yeah, so hi everyone. My name's Jason Berners. I'm the head of marketing at Bitlectro Labs. It's been a unique journey that I've had to kind of get into the crypto space and NFTs. I have a live entertainment background, so I come from essentially being a touring magician, which is strange. And through all that, my introduction to crypto was me skipping university classes and sitting kind of in the foyer and going through Coinbase and even that's how I got into NFTs. I bought, a CryptoPunk back in 2018 because I was sitting in the University of Victoria, essentially skipping, Business 101 and learning about this stuff. So through all that and kind of through quarantine and lockdown with COVID and just some conversations with a bunch of friends, like our co-founders, Keel and Gabe, and, through games of Rocket League and discussions we had back and forth, we were realizing that, Keel was naturally creating this amazing art. And we decided to kind of put all of our skill sets together and create a company out of it. And we think a handful of really exciting projects so far.
Dude, what a great story. And I feel like it just lends itself so well to like the NFT space. Like you just come here by the way of like being a traveling magician who's skipping business classes. And now you're like full-time like NFT crypto or maybe not full-time, but with the amount of stuff you guys got cooking up, it sure seems like full-time. What's the current status of Bitlectro Labs? What are you guys working on now? Give us the rundown, man.
Yeah, this is exciting. Right now it's 6:30 in the morning on our time. And what's crazy is this isn't even that crazy for me to be, I guess, awake at this time already working on Bitlectro stuff because we've been going nonstop since our sellout launch of Dream Loops back in June. We've been behind the scenes kind of cranking out a bunch of stuff in the lead up for our new collection coming out. The public sale is going to be October 16th, and we're calling them the Dreamers. It's a 15,000 PFP project, audio and visual, all coming with one-of-one audio. It's going to be like 16-bit digital art and then audio, like kind of chiptune tracks that are run through a Sega Genesis. This is crazy. There's so many elements to it. We're building a proposed automated battle arena as well, like a video game essentially, as well as voxelized characters through our Sandbox partnership. We haven't slept in a couple months and there's so much going on and so much to unpack with you guys today. But Bitlectro's been we've been kind of the sleeper in the space, we feel like, for a while, and people are just starting to catch on, which is really exciting, and it's really nice to see all the supporters kind of coming through.
So what was the origin of the Dreamers? Like, obviously the space is pretty flush with PFP projects. Still, there's
obviously room to grow, I think, just because we have like 1% of the whole world's population, if that, in crypto, right? So there's a lot of different projects for people to kind of port their identity onto. But can you walk us through a little bit about like the origin or the genesis of the Dreamers?
Well, I think by you saying identity is kind of a key term. Maybe not that we had issue with the Dream Loops, but with Dream Loops being kind of a bespoke, pixel art collection, we found that, if you want to use that as your Twitter bio picture, something like that, the way that some of them cropped with the circle and things like that, we found that some people, didn't necessarily kind of fully cling on to that project, which is totally fair, with it being such a unique kind of art collection. So we wanted to take essentially what people are loving right now, which is a PFP project, and just try to provide, not only a really solid one with really good art, but we want to add more to it, which is where we get into things like the music with the Creative Commons license. And we want to get into things like building a video game like the Battle Arena, and then building like voxelated or voxelized rather characters to have at our metaverse parties and things like that. So we want to take essentially what the demand was for, which is, people are loving PFP projects right now, but we wanted to kind of take it to the next level and take the best, I would say the best elements from Dream Loops. Like we know that people clinged on to, the bowl of tomatoes with the Dream Loops, and it became like the bowl of tomatoes gang. So we want to take homages from Dream Loops and other pop culture and other nostalgia that we're all fans of, and kind of just throw it into a collection that we think kind of speaks for itself, and we think it's just a more mature collection of Dream Loops essentially.
Shout out the bowl of tomatoes gang.
Shout out to them. Hey, they come in force on the Discord, and not gonna lie, I love it. I don't even have a bowl of tomatoes myself, and the floor on those is wild. Like I'm priced out of a bowl of tomatoes now.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the bowl of tomatoes gang? I feel like you see this sort of behavior around certain trait groups in certain special NFT or PFP collections. Like the other example that comes to mind are like the hoodie gang for punks and punk-like PFP projects. Everyone wants to be super comfy. All that good stuff.
Exactly.
I got Taco Head for the Subducks, and it's like the same thing. The Taco Heads. I'm not like involved in the Taco Head community, but like I know what you're saying, man. I'd be interested to hear his take on it as well.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. I think these things are born organically, almost through just meme culture and things like that at first, but then people really cling on to them, which I think is really kind of cool. And that's what the beauty of this space is something as silly as a bowl of tomatoes can actually bring conversation and people together. And I think it's great. Like we host kind of community chats and AMAs in our Discord, and people are coming up on stage shouting out Tomato Gang. And it all started, I don't know why. I think it started because someone picked up like 3 or 4 of them. Maybe it was Dad Judicator. I don't remember. But the conversations just started, man, week 1 of launch, I would say, in our Discords about how the bowl of tomatoes is going to become this sought after trait. And what's funny is it's not even like technically the rarest trait or anything like that. It's up there, but it's, it's not the most scarce or anything. But just to see, the community surround something like a bowl of tomatoes. I'm trying to even think of there's the obvious ones, like people, if you own a cassette or you own a redeemable Dream Loop, people really cling to that and they join that gang. If you own a Lucky Cat, man, you're lucky because obviously there's only a handful of them, and that speaks for itself. But it's just really funny. I even think in our Discord that the bowl of tomato gangs, as all of the roles, is quite high, like in the sense of we put it higher up so it shows. We had a couple of requests of people who had different role status in our Discord, and they were like, man, I really want to be a part of the tomato gang. So we actually had to shift tomato gang up. So if you go on our Discord and swipe over to see all the users online, bowl of tomatoes is quite high. So it's it's a little wild.
I'm checking out your stuff, and I feel like a lot of projects are starting to do this, not necessarily in the same vein that you are, but like a lot of people who are, forward thinking are sort of taking a lot of like the cool aspects of a lot of these different projects and experiments and sort of combining them into one, thread that's all sort of tied together. So, I mean, and what you guys got is cool. The artwork is cool. I see the game integration. I know you're leaning the profile picture direction. So, I feel like that's a great angle for a lot of projects because there's like basically something for everybody, even if they don't necessarily want to participate in like, one aspect of the options or whatever.
Sure.
So I guess my question is, man, like with something like this, do you just sort of launch this and sort of set it free and let the community sort of figure out what they're the most excited about and allow it to take on a life of its own? Or do you once all these wheels are in motion, is there like a longer term play or vision, like once all this stuff is established?
There's a couple things. I think that we learned a lot about we learned to listen essentially the last launch. We learned to listen on what the community really wants and really finds important. And we found that the Creative Commons licensing for the music was incredibly important to the community. And it's great to see people using the Dream Loops in various different projects, independent video games to intros to Twitch streams to podcasts to things like that. But that being said, with the Dreamers project, there's our roadmap being laid out. We're trying to build essentially an automated video game. So there's timelines to that. Like we know these kind of things don't happen overnight. So regardless of what kind of the community clings on to, there's things that we kind of have to get done. If we sell out, if we sell out this collection, we have to put together this video game. And so we have timelines kind of going into next year with getting a kind of a V1 of that released. And that's going to take up a lot of time, but we're also just, again, like I said, we're learning to listen. And, I think we're excited to see the community really cling on to our metaverse parties. And I think we're going to lean into those a lot more. They're a ton of fun and there's a really kind of solid turnout every time with them. So I think, whether we stay in crypto voxels or once Sandbox is ready, we're excited to kind of move over there and try that out. And that's where the voxelized characters are going to come in, kind of the avatars. So we're excited to see how people cling on to that. So I guess it's a little bit of we throw everything at the wall and see what sticks with the community, but it's also like we just want to provide value essentially. But it's also exciting because we've now created a roadmap that keeps our eyes at least on some targets, and then we can kind of take what the community says as well along the way.
Cool. So like the next step is going to be the airdrop of the Dreamers to like the Dream Loop holders and then the public sale, and then kind of getting into all the next steps or just like activating the community, keeping them happy, getting to the sandbox before ultimately getting that game together for folks. Is that sort of the sequence that y'all are targeting?
Yeah, so I guess I'll kind of go through the next month for us to kind of lay out the roadmap. So there's going to be a screenshot for an airdrop. So it's going to be for every 2 Dream Loops that people own, they're going to receive 1 Dreamer. So if you own 4 Dream Loops, you're going to get 2 Dreamers and so on and so on. The screenshot period is between October 8th and the 14th. And then we're going to have a whitelisted presale process following up to our public sale on October 16th right now, set for 4 p.m. Pacific. Following that, I think it's tough to say. I think we're going to have the voxelized characters done before Sandbox is ready to go into, which is fine. But and then we're looking at onboarding some more people onto the team to help develop with the game and everything like that. And that's where, more things, there's more, how do I say this? There's more gears in motion at that point. We're going to be wearing many hats across the team as we already do, but that's where kind of our timelines really get in. And we're going to be doing more things like the Crypto Voxels parties, like, exclusive merch drops that we've done before, and kind of bring almost like we want to do like even listening parties of the record that you would redeem with Dream Loops. Like there's so many things that we want to do, and it just stems from us essentially throwing events and parties, because all three, myself, Gabe, and Keel, and then there's Brett and Josh and Davey on the team. 4 of us essentially come from live entertainment, which is wild to think. We got myself being a magician. We have Gabe being a DJ in Las Vegas for years. We have Keel from Starfuck, our in-house artist and co-founder. And then we have Davers, who's also a musician as well. So we want to take our favorite things that we do essentially in real life and kind of bring them into, whether it be the metaverse or just into this space as well. So there's going to be a lot of things in between now and getting that game out. So it's exciting.
Did you say you're a magician previously?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to tell us a little bit more about that you don't hear that every day.
It's crazy. So like I said at the beginning, yeah, essentially me coming from, so I've been a magician for years, and I started doing magic back when I was about 12 or 13 years old, and I competed in essentially the youth world championships of magic. It was like sub 21 category in Vegas when I was like really young. I was like 13 or 14. And I came third. So I was like the Canadian rep, like the Western Canadian rep. And that was essentially the first thing that kind of got the gears in motion for that. And that's where things started getting crazy, and agents started calling, and I started kind of touring a lot more. And through all that, that's essentially how I met Gabe, and we got acquainted to put together this project, because Gabe is a hobbyist magician. I was in Las Vegas doing some work, and we essentially got together at a bar one night through his partner, and just started jamming out magic, which was really kind of cool, which led into conversations of hobbies, which is crypto. So I think it all lends to itself, because me being a magician leads into me having free time on tour, which led into discovery of things like NFT, and things like skipping university. Because realistically, when I was sitting in university classes, I was going, I'd much rather be doing magic right now. So,
dude, I'm curious to hear about the audio-visual component, like the physical aspect, the whole like random generated, I assume it's random generated, music that comes with some of these NFTs is like very interesting to me. Although, like, full disclosure, man, I still like sort of struggle to understand like the utility or use case, other than like, periodically pulling them up and listening to them for a couple seconds, and throwing them in like some old school style video games and everything totally makes sense to me. I can see that, but like, as someone who has been like sort of tinkering around with this audiovisual NFT with like the physical media, like what's been like the response from the community, and like what types of like applications have you seen people using that like specific aspect of the NFT for?
Yeah, so let me take you a little bit through the process of the amount that I know from Keel, essentially, because Keel is also a head down kind of guy. So when he's creating these tracks, he's pretty dialed in. So how it goes is he'll take what we did for Dream Loops, for instance, is we took 100 percussion beats and 100 like melodics, and when you kind of mix those together and cross them in a script, you're going to get essentially 10,000 unique one-of-one tracks, right? So he took, different songs that he wrote on tour and different riffs off, from live shows that he finds are really cool, and through the years he kind of had that archive. So when he put those together, there's some really kind of cool hidden gems throughout the Dream Loops collection of that. And essentially the first time he ran it through a Nintendo soundboard, like an NES soundboard, to get that chiptune aesthetic and sound to it. So this time for the Dreamers, we wanted a slightly different sound with the chiptunes. So he's running it through a Sega Genesis sound cartridge, which creates a slightly different sound, which is interesting. But this is the thing too, is we realized that not everyone in the space is as much of a pixel head and chiptune junkie as we all are on the team. So we know that through the longevity of Bitlectro over the next years, essentially, we want to create different collections that kind of tailor different music genres as well. Like I would love to look back at Bitlectro in 2 years, for instance, and be like, wow, we've done a hip hop collection, we've done a jazz collection, a reggae collection. Like I would love to explore different genres, and we're already getting the gears in motion on that. When it comes to the physical media side, what's crazy is so 1 in 5 Dream Loops were redeemable for either cassette or vinyl. And what I think is really exciting is the fact that the record that Keel's putting together is much more than just essentially the chiptunes that are on Dream Loops. Like it's not just a mashup of that. He's getting guest vocalists involved. He's getting, different features and things like that. So it's going to be more of a full record on the physical media aspect. But I think that when it comes to the use case, it's neat, because I remember when I was first touring as a musician or as a magician rather, and I needed even I'm catching myself now saying musician and magician. That's funny. When I first started traveling and touring with the show, I always wanted music tracks in the show. So I would ask friends who were in bands, essentially being like, hey, is it cool if I use your single for, this magic trick in the show? And I was doing like silent pieces. And I always felt strange asking. And then I was always scared about getting hit by things like SOCAN and things, which is within Canada. It's like essentially the music licensing kind of agreement. And I was always nervous about getting kind of dinged by them. So I was always super wary. So I think it's really interesting that this is a low cost to entry for, like, currently a low cost to entry for people to have a track made by a member of Starfucker that is yours. And I think that that in itself is novel. And I think, you know, me looking back, I would have loved to have an opportunity to essentially buy a track that I know is just mine. And it's really neat to see people use it. Like I'm already thinking about ways to use it in a magic show, essentially. And I think that once live events come back more with things opening back up, we're going to see more performers, more events, more just across the board, like community things happening where if you need a little track or you need a little intro, like trade shows or something like that, Dream Loops might be a really kind of cool option for you on that. And then I think, yeah, I mean, I think seeing the uses in things like video games and Twitch streams and everything like that, it's really nice because it gets expensive typically when it comes to licensing stuff. So to have one that you own and not pay like a yearly fee as well, we find really kind of cool. So yeah, there's a few things with it.
Dude, that is really interesting, man. You make like a lot of great points of different use cases. And I feel like, you know, as like copyright and like IP, you know, people start to crack down more and more like on people using, you know, mainstream music from the music industry and everything. I'm sure like more use cases, like exactly what you're saying, will continue to pop up. Dude, it's fascinating to me that like the Nintendo and the Sega Genesis are essentially being used as like instruments or like vehicles for like music
crazy,
creation.
hey?
What was the, is it chip? What was the term you were throwing around? Is that like a standard term, chip tooth, or what?
Yeah, chip tunes. Yeah,
chip
tunes. Yeah, so it's like I don't know where it comes from, but that's the style of music for it. So it's essentially like old video game music, right?
That's cool, dude.
And that's what's neat is Keel is just essentially a gearhead, which I find fascinating because I thought I was when it comes to like microphones and like I'm on headset right now, but like when I'm on stage, I use like an AT2020 because I think it looks cool and I like picking up the person on stage's set like voice as a reaction, which I thought that was me being such an audiophile or something like that. But then you sit down with Keel and oh my gosh, he is the amount of cool, like he's got like a Commodore 64 that would be so cool to run tracks through. Like there's so many things that I think would be really cool. Yeah, he's a vintage video game nerd as well, and I think that that's where a lot of the strengths of the collection comes from. It's just the fact that he naturally obsesses over this kind of stuff. So when you put what you love to work, I think it's a match, right?
That's so interesting how deep the individual kind of specialties of the team members are and how that's been bleeding into the project up until this point. But the one thing that's really like stood out to me is like the ultimate kind of goal of putting together this sort of like retro vintage game. Obviously there's a lot of work to be done on that front and a lot of steps that need to be taken before you get there. But like at a high level, like what sort of game are you envisioning, and how do the holders or how will the ultimate collectors like utilize their PFPs in the game? Curious about that connection.
Yeah, so this is kind of the thing is we realize that with us being a smaller team, and we also understand development timelines and money, and we understand we're not going to be able to create a AAA title, and we get that, right? And we understand that also with the limitations of the Ethereum network, we're going to be having to do a migration over to Polygon for this game. And when I say game, I use air quotes because it's essentially going to be a automated yet provably fair peer-to-peer battling system. So what it's going to be is two dreamers will kind of go into this battle arena and they're going to bet or wager rather a small stake of a native token, and then they will go to battle, and then the winner of that through an automated, provably fair fashion will receive that token, right? So they will receive that as the prize. And we're working out so many different things with it. We're taking like our favorite elements from our favorite projects that we've seen in the space that have tried things like Zed Run. We really like projects like Avogachis with, things like their wearables on Avogachis. So we want to use dream loops essentially as rather power-ups, quote unquote, for your dreamer in the battle arena, right? And then there's going to be a sliding scale on, strength to payout ratio and things like that. So yeah, we get that it's not going to be like people are asking like, hey, can you create like a single person RPG? And we're like, man, like we get the request and all that. And, maybe one day that'd be really cool to see. But for right now, we want to kind of take it one step at a time. And that's why we think that, taking the waging element or wager element on Zed Run and putting that into kind of a fighting style game, that kind of reminds us of things like Salty Bet and things like that. It creates a kind of cool experience where by being able to use the add-ons and things like that, you can kind of create and customize the experience so you feel like you are playing the game, and then you can kind of watch back and see the battle happen. And it'll be similar like other projects too, where there'll be a lineup of battles planned, so then you can line yours up. Essentially, you can go make dinner, you can go sleep, you can do whatever you need, and then come back and watch a replay of your battle. So we're super stoked to kind of get that going. And I think that already through the previews that we've put out on our Discord and on Twitter, the community response has been really cool. It's based off of an old 90s style game. I forget the title though, rather, because to be honest, it's before my time. Like I'm 23, so I feel like that when I air quote nostalgia, some of this is even past my time, like before my time. But it's cool to see this and kind of go backwards,
Dude, totally. I mean, I think one of the coolest things about this project is that it checks a lot of boxes for a lot of people. And so curious to hear like the metaverse angle that you guys have on it. I know you said you're trying to get into Sandbox when they open up. You've been having parties and like crypto voxels. What does like one of your metaverse events look like? Like what's been successful? What's, what has your audience enjoyed the most? How have those things been going?
These are really fun, man. I think that the metaverse element is huge, and like it makes me really excited for what's to come. So we have a partnership parcel with Sandbox. So it's quite large, and it's in a nice location. Like we're neighbors to CyberKongz. They put out a teaser a couple weeks ago, and you can see our lucky cat on the map. It's kind of cool that we have a big enough parcel that you can actually see where we are, which is fun. So we're really looking forward to seeing what Sandbox does. We had a little teaser through some conversations with them. So they kind of took us through some teasers and ideas of what they have planned. And yeah, if they can pull all this off, or pull this off rather, it's going to be really, really impressive. So I think that Sandbox is really exciting. And in the meanwhile, Sling just as exciting as we love using crypto voxels for our parties right now. So currently we're hosting monthly metaverse essential dance parties. We have a co-host that is Lad City, an NFT Live, and then we have kind of various sponsors throughout. So we have different projects. We've had Dizzy Dragons, we've had Graffiti Kings, and a wide array. This month is Strawberry.WTF and Pixels, which is really exciting. So we're doing a very pixel themed party, along with our dreamers. So it's all over our gallery wall, which is really nice. We just moved into a new space in Crypto Voxels as well. It's much larger, so we can have more people party, and essentially 5 DJs come through a Twitch stream on a wall, and then Gabe, who is our co-founder of the company, he'll pop in as well and do giveaways throughout the night. He'll DJ himself as well, which is really cool to see him work. And then essentially we do like costume contests. It's a big dance party, and it kind of keeps that conversation, because we're realizing that I think it was kind of a weird match made in heaven with everything going on in the world. People aren't really going out on Friday nights yet, and at least not everyone. So it's nice for people to be able to be, instead of just watching Netflix, on a Friday night, they can, whether it be while they're cooking dinner or something like that, turn on Crypto Voxels, hit dance, and they can just listen to live music in the background while doing whatever they're doing. Or if they want to be much more engaged, they can be walking around, hanging out, and essentially having conversations and engaging with other community members as well in the space through the text chat. So it's really exciting. We also have a Decentraland space that we've just never done a party at before. We find their like server system kind of interesting. The fact that it's hard for mass gatherings, because depending on your URL skew, we might be on different servers. So if we go to the same space at the same time, I might not see you there, which can be a bit of a problem. So I'm still interested to do something in Decentraland. We just don't know what yet. I'm almost thinking it has to be something where people can come and go. Like we could have a special gallery up in Decentraland or something like that of some fun teasers where people can come at their own leisure. That might be the kind of the best bet for what we want to do with Decentraland. But right now it's crazy. We got like over 1,000 people come through every time we do a party. The next one is just on the 30th, so just 2 days away from when we're recording this right now. And yeah, they're a lot of work, but they're a ton of fun. And I think it's really nice to see not only our work on a gallery wall, and it kind of makes it feel, you know, a little more real, which is really nice, but it's really cool also to see other people's projects. We've made so many friends in the space, even just like you guys right now. This has been, I mean, it's 7 a.m. and I wouldn't normally want to have a conversation, but I'm loving this with you guys. And I think that through that, it's really nice to see our friends' projects up on the walls as well, essentially, right?
Dude, totally. I mean, you know, we're sort of in the same boat. We've been, you know, hosting different events in the metaverse for a long time and have like leaned heavily on crypto voxels. We do some stuff in Decentraland. Each one seems to have like their inherent like pros and cons and like limitations. Also excited for Sandbox to see like what, you know, the potential is there. Is there any other like spots on your radar that you are interested in like hosting events or that seem like they would be appropriate? You know, just as another metaverse enthusiast, I feel like a lot of places are popping up, but it's hard to know like what's actually like a viable place to, you know, host a thing.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that like Somnium would be really cool, like to do a party in VR. I know Crypto Voxels is I think it's in beta, or it's, you can test it. I think is Crypto Voxels in VR as well. I think we, like, some of the guys on the team have done it, but but the with Somnium, I think that's how you pronounce it. It would be really neat to see. I've never actually been in that metaverse before, but I think that anytime you put VR, especially with something like a dance party, it'd be a lot of fun. And then, I mean, Isotile is a really kind of neat gallery centric metaverse. It's unique. It's actually really cool. And when they came out, they actually added Dreamloop support, so you can have audio with your Dreamloops kind of in the space playing. So it's almost like it's the mix between a metaverse and like a display gallery for your NFTs, but they're creating a public room that we could host something in as well. So I'd like to do something in there. I mean, realistically, I would even love to do a virtual magic show somewhere. We've had conversations about that as well, just through, you know, when people find out I'm a magician in the Discord, they start asking questions and they go, how can we see this? How can we do something for Dreamloops holders or something like that? So I'd love to do something in there as well. But I mean, everything's really cool. Even like the what's it called? Ember Land. Like that's a cool project as well. But for events, I think right now, Crypto Voxels, even though it can be a little janky sometimes, like sometimes not janky, but a little glitchy every once in a while. And I think we push
janky, it, man. We're big fans of crypto voxels too.
Like I think we push it to the limit sometimes too. We think like the gallery is busy. So like I remember the first time we did a party, we all wanted, it was the night before Dreamloops launch, and I wanted a special wearable, and I got so excited. So I bought a glass of rosé for my Crypto Voxels guy to hold, and I loaded them up on my computer, and I realized at the time, like, man, my computer cannot handle this, like even on low. So I literally stood at the downstairs stairwell where like no music's playing, there's no people, there's no real that much art either that makes things busy and lag and kind of bogged down. And I just stood at the bottom of the stairs with my glass of rosé in my hand and just stood there all night and didn't do anything. But now I'm on a much better machine and can kind of run things a bit more. But yeah, I mean, as janky as it is, it's even cool how you can do Crypto Voxels on your phone. There's a lot, man. I think I'm really excited to see what Sandbox does, but I'm also, I mean, I'm eyeballing parcels still on Crypto Voxels for myself to have like a personal parcel. So there's a couple things.
Yeah, totally, man. I feel like we've sort of come to the same conclusion in that, in terms of like being able to most likely handle a bunch of people in the same spot, but with the potential of crashing, but also being like the most easily accessible to anyone from like any device. It seems like right now Crypto Voxels is out in front, and that's what we've continued to lean on, unless we're like, you know, running some experiment or just, you know, trying something else for the sake of just, you know, seeing what happens type of thing.
Totally.
Dude, one of the things we always love to ask our guests, man, is what kind of stuff that they're collecting or projects that they're interested in on the side that are, generally unrelated to whatever you're currently working on. So you obviously have like a
Totally.
depth of knowledge in the space, man. Are there any like projects that, again, totally unrelated to yours, but you're just like a fan of or think are cool or are, got a bunch in your wallet?
Yeah, let me think about that. So, okay, so I'm a big fan of Avastars. I think they're great. I like betting on the jockey, not the horse. So I bet on Jimmy on that one. I think he's great. I yeah, I really like Avastar's got a lot of those. I just bought my first Atom Bomb Squad for the same reason, and I'm really excited to see what they do. I'm curious about this metadata release whenever that's planned to come out because I don't understand why it's been delayed so much, but I'm curious. So I went into that and I'm excited to see how they treat it as like a social token. I think that Bobby and Ben are going to do some really cool things just with, I mean, I think the reason why too that I really went into that is the fact that when I got like the Bored Ape hoodie with the hundreds that they did, and I kind of haven't been able to take it off, and like my partner hasn't been able to like take it off, and we just wear it all the time. And I realized in that moment, I was like, damn, like if they do Atom Bomb Squad merch as cool as that, like this could be a really, really neat project. And I also remember wearing hundreds when I was back in middle school. So I think that it's a really, really fun project. Let me think what else. I mean, I'm a big Top Shot guy just naturally because I like sports. But I mean, I'm also left holding the bag from back in February a little bit too, but I'm also still collecting quite often. I'm buying packs when I can as well. I think there's some really cool projects. I like Sanjays. I think they're really cool. I'm excited for the Sanjay robots. I hope that they had a problem with their mint in the contract when they launched, but Sanjays are neat. And then, I mean, I have a couple horses. I like the older projects too. Like, I mean, like Dada Collectibles, like they're doing the Creeps and Weirdos again. I think they're right now in that pre-sale period, just leading up to a public sale. They were around when punks were around. Like, I remember doing three Dadas, punk, and like some crypto kitties and things like that. And yeah, they're really neat, and they fall into that like fine art world, and it's just a collection of, you know, different artists coming together and doing some really kind of spooky and, you know, unique art. And I think that that's really neat. Like it makes me want to print one off and hang it on the wall. And then other than that, I don't know, man. I collect some weird things. I got like the Justin Roiland Dance or Dies. I got a couple of those, which is like from Rick and Morty, which is fun. I bought a couple of Wicked Stallions because they made one that has like a magician's case on their hip, which is cool. Like on the stallion's hip, like it's clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds. I'm like, I need all of these. So yeah, I buy a lot of weird things, and then I have some projects that I'm more excited for instance. Like I'm just stoked to see what Atom Bomb Squad does, and I think that over the next couple months, gas permitting, I will say I will be minting a lot more. So
That's great, dude. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
You don't have to you don't have to feel bad about liking weird things, man. I feel like I keep like steady 15% like weirdness for the sake of weirdness in my portfolio.
Well, I think that's good. Like people on the team too, like they collect like purely for whether it be speculation or just the hype of the project or something like that. And then, like I buy like known origin stuff because I just think it's nice. Like to be honest, I don't really care about the value of my collection. Like I'm genuinely, like I have no intentions on really selling anything because to be honest, the one time I sold something, which was my punk, I regret it. Like I still regret selling my punk, right? And I'm like, I don't really want to go through that emotion again. And I just realized I'm like, damn, I should just collect what I like. And I think I enjoy the space more when I'm doing that versus like speculation. And I think that like even some projects that have kind of gone some really negative press and kind of not had the greatest run, like Misfits, for instance, like it's too bad because I really like them. And I kind of, as a college dropout, kind of like relate with them, and I like the frat house background, and I think it's fun, and I thought it was a cool project, and it's too bad that to be honest, it kind of fell off a little bit. Like it's too bad. But I'm still a fan of them and I still have them in my wallet, which is cool too. It's not just because of a project's not doing so well that I dump them. I keep them in there and I like them, right?
I love that answer. No, and honestly, just your passion for the space and how long you've been here, it's really palpable, and it makes me even more interested in what you're doing at Bitlectro and Dreamloop. I'm just going through the buy now pieces, looking at that Lucky Kitty. I'm like, oh, should I pull the trigger?
I know, man. I know. I feel the same. Thanks for the kind words, though. I appreciate that.
No, this sort of thing's really important. Just kind of like deep dive into the team and like the collector bona fides. I think it's really, really important at this point. There's a lot of people that are coming into the space and they look and sound like they're doing roughly the same. But when you ask that sort of clarifying question of like, well, what are you collecting? A lot of times we get non-answers or like,
right.
oh, that they give a long-winded spiel. And at the end it's like, oh, so you have nothing in your wallet. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important. You got to know what's going on in the space, right? Like, and I think to be honest, you gotta risk a little bit. Like, to be real, like, man, when I bought that bomb, I was like, that's rent this month. Like, it is, like it's expensive. But I realized that you gotta kind of get into that space and kind of go ahead in and clearly, I mean, just through these conversations, all three of us believe in this space so much that I'm like, you know what, let's just bet on ourselves and bet on some teams and kind of trust the process. And that's kind of what I'm here to do. And I think that, I'm a member of like a little private club here in town, and it's like a little social club / it's almost like a Soho House kind of vibe, but not that. It's, there's affiliate clubs and all that kind of stuff. I essentially go there to work most days and just kind of open up my laptop. But through that, to me, this is the same thing, but virtual, right? It's the same social token. It's the same reason I regret not getting a Bored Ape. When I remember my dad, when Bored Ape's first coming out, like he's doesn't own any NFTs, but he scrolls on Twitter a lot essentially, and he's checking out what we're doing, and he's just proud of me. And I think that he calls me and he goes, you should buy an ape. And I go, why? And he goes, because they're going to open up a yacht club. He goes, they're going to open up a real life club. And he's like, you need one. And I was like, Dad, listen, it's like 1.4 ETH. Like, I do not need that. Like, that is too much money, father. And he was like, I swear to God, Jason, you should buy it. He's like, I'll go half. And I was like, Dad, I don't want to do that. We did that with, I was like, Dad, we did that on some Top Shots and it wasn't a good move. So like, yeah, I think I'm good, right? Like, I don't want to put you through this again. He's like, fine. Then I called him the other day. I'm like, they're opening up a clubhouse in Miami. He's like, how good am I? Like, I am that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I mean, I think I love that social flex of it too, though. Right. So
that's another fantastic story right there.
It's wild, man. It's like it's been obsessive for a while. And I think that that's where it's cool.
Totally. Well, as we get to the end of our chat here, I just want to make sure that you let folks know exactly where they need to follow Bitlectro, Dreamers, Dreamloops, and all that good stuff. So hit folks with the URLs, the Twitter handles, and all the good stuff.
Yeah, so all the socials are at Bitlectro. That is BITLECTRO. And then the website is bitlectrolabs.com. And I think the best thing for people to do is just join our Discord and come hang out in our community. Excuse me, we're growing a really good community right now. It's just strong and vibrant, and there's different creatives and tastemakers in the space. And I think that, and we're also all in there as a team. We're a small team of 6 right now. And I think all of us are in there fairly active. I admittedly wish I was more active, but I'm in there. And also, yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out via DM on Discord or just DM us on Twitter as well. But we're doing lots of giveaways and things like that in the lead up to Dreamers, and it's also, there's a lot more in the pipeline. So we're just excited to have people on the journey, whether it be they joined us in March when we first kind of came onto the scene in the lead up, and we did a kind of our first, Twitter giveaways, for instance, or they're just joining now. I think it's never too late to join here at Bitlectro, because I think our community too is, because we're not a super, how do I say this? I feel like we're not like a pretentious project. Like we're a good like like stepping stone into the space we're finding. Like lots of people are like, this is my first NFT. Like I get this one because it comes with music and I understand how I would use it. Like if they're just getting into the space and trying to understand like use cases for an NFT, I think that we're a really nice bridge for that. And I think our community supports that. So people who are having issues like, loading up their wallets and things like that, we have members in the community who just kind of walk people through that. So it's a nice, it's a really nice, fun and welcoming space to kind of just hang out in. And we're going to be doing more like community chats and AMAs kind of in the lead up as well. So you can hear all of our voices more. You know what I mean? I feel like I've been talking nonstop for weeks on end now, but I'm not going to stop. So just come hang out in the Discord. It's all at bitlectrolabs.com as well. And again, the screenshot window is between the 8th and the 14th of October. 2 dream loops for 1 dreamer. So again, 4 dream loops, you get 2 dreamers, so on and so on. And then, gearing up for the public sale on the 16th. And before that, we're going to be doing like a pre-sale whitelist. And we're going to have lots of opportunities for people to join our whitelist. And to do that, I believe there's a form even on the Discord where you kind of fill out why you think you should be whitelisted, and we all review those. But we want to give people the opportunity to get the project as well. Last time we sold out admittedly quicker than we thought we were gonna. We were like 21 minutes or something like that. So this time we're trying to prepare to please more people and kind of spread the NFTs out a little more. So.
I love that, man. And honestly, it was a pleasure to chat with you, get to know you a little bit, especially the projects. Definitely going to do a little bit more deep diving there, and really excited for the launch of Dreamers and the build out to the game and all that good stuff. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us, man, and keep doing your thing. Keep building.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks again. This has been a good morning chat. I appreciate it.
Yeah, right on. Thank you, man.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this week's episode. Just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Proof of Beauty. Proof of Beauty is an experimental digital experience studio. The blockchain is their canvas and the tokens are their brush. You can learn more about Proof of Beauty by checking out pob.studio. You can follow them on Twitter as well at PRRF Beauty. That's PRRF Beauty on Twitter, and pob.studio on their homepage to learn more about their projects like Hash, London, and Publico. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.